Hello Internet, I'm Richie and welcome to Sounds of Stadia's SideQuest, a show where we take a step off the critical path and explore more of what the video game world has to offer. On this week's show, I am joined by the host of Sounds of Stadia podcast, Mr. Chris.
Hello, Stadia Pirates.
And the much anticipated return of the techie teacher, Mr. Tom.
I don't know whether to say R or squawk because I can't quite figure out if you said pirates or parrots then.
Could have said both.
Right, what I want from you right now, Tom, you need to do this now. Your best ever squawk. Go on. Did you do anything there?
Soundgate cut everything off there.
Oh, well.
That's fine. Good.
Yeah, that's because
it was a muted parrot.
That's absolutely fine.
But
I'm glad that way.
Yeah, on this week's show, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about the best and worst Stadia Pro games so far. But before that, a bit of housekeeping. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. You can join our team of members, our memberships, for as little as 99p, which gives you early access to this show. It goes up as soon as I've finished editing it, so you get it. Otherwise, it'll go up on Friday. Everyone else, and it just supports the channel. We don't keep things at different tiers. Everyone gets everything, so it's whatever you can afford. It really helps us out a lot, and you get some new emojis.
And you're basically paying for us to crack the whip over Richie's back.
Yeah, that's basically true. Like every Sunday, like, Richie, stop being hungover. You've got to record an episode. Like, I don't want to. Anyway, if you want to join the discussion further, drop into our Discord and check out our other shows, such as the Sound Stadia podcast, comes out every single Monday on YouTube and podcast services, or our Thursday night live streams, which Thursday nights. So let's get into
the Thursday night live streams.
Yeah, I know.
Thursday night. What?
We haven't come up with a better name for that show yet.
Doesn't need one.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's fine. You know what it is. So, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Inlead on Twitter at in7EAD for pulling together an awesome stats package for Stadia Pro, which is what this episode's based on. So, thank you very much for that. So, I think what we'll do is we'll go through month by month. I'll read off what the games are, and then I'll throw to you to argue.
To argue?
Yeah,
okay.
We may just agree.
Yeah, you might agree, but... So November 2019, the dawn of Stadia.
I was going to say,
we got two pro games to kick things off. Destiny 2, this was before Destiny went free to play, and Samurai Showdown.
Okay.
I mean, Destiny 2, right?
Destiny 2, it's a great game. And yes, it's free now. But back then, it was probably one of the only games worth playing on Stadia if you didn't want to shell any money out. So, yeah.
It was also the one I think everybody tried first.
Yes.
Right? Like, they booted it up, they claimed Destiny and Samurai Showdown, and out of the two of them, they obviously went, right, let's check out this behemoth that is Bungie's Destiny 2.
I think we all three of us, like, I think me and you before Tom, because Tom, I think you got your Stadia just delivered quite a bit after us. But I think we just sat down. As soon as we got our hands on it, jump into Destiny 2, let's see what this platform's all about.
Mm-hmm. It was probably the moment for me in Destiny 2 where I had my realization that Stadia worked.
Yeah, definitely.
Like just doing that first map and jumping around on Earth on top of all the rusty cars on my big massive TV with the Chromecast. That was the moment I sat there and just kind of looked around and thought, there's no console, there's no box, it's just running through the power of the cloud. And I was kind of just like awestruck and like, shit, they did it. Like, it works. And it still works to this day.
You do that moment where you're playing on your TV with Chromecast, you look at your phone when plug the controller into the phone and jump straight across to your phone. It's like, oh my God, this works too.
This works. I don't think I went to phone. It might have been tablet first. But
I did
TV. Same thing.
I did TV to laptop. I remember being at my mum's house visiting down, back when we could actually visit people before everything happened. And on the TV over to her old MacBook, which was quite an old one, like a 2016 model or something. And it just worked flawlessly. It was great.
Yeah, slight sidebar as well. When you just said that about seeing people, Tom, having all of these pro months listed in front of me, it's not spoken about often enough, but November, December, January, February, lockdown.
Yes.
Stadia's and almost entirety of its existence in the public eye has been through a global pandemic, and I don't think they get enough like credit where credit's due. That the rollout and the support and everything, as much as they get a lot of shit, it's been a bad year and a half for everyone, and yet they've had to get this off the ground. And I'd love to know in an alternate universe how everything could be very different if everything wasn't impacted in the way it was. Everyone's lives had changed, but yeah. Then we go into Christmas, Richie.
Indeed. I'm stalling because the website just started refreshing itself, so I can't see the list.
All I can remember, Richie, is I can definitely tell you that there was a controversial release that month.
Oh, yes, there was.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Farming Simulator by any chance?
A swing and a miss. No, I was talking about the fact that Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, people had obviously bought it as one of, because it had been on, I'm pretty sure it had been on a pro sale when it came out. And that was sort of like, you know, their Thanksgiving. Is it Black Friday? Was that Black Friday sales?
Yeah. Well,
it was Black Friday sale that didn't happen.
Black Friday sales. And then immediately went free in December, to many people's dismay. And there was the big kickoff about that game, with a lot of people getting refunded, I believe, as well for that title.
I was one of those people. And funnily enough, to this day, Floor Kids came out last week, 2 weeks ago. And now it's gone free on Pro 2 weeks later, so they haven't learned their lesson.
They hit this issue in month 2 and they have not learned. But bit of trivia, Farming Sim was the first ever game Sounds of Stadia streamed. And you can check that stream out if you want to. It's probably quite cringeworthy in our channel. But
you've got to start. We've got to start somewhere, right?
Shenanigans aside, Tomb Raider, awesome game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Still one of the best pro games, I would argue.
Let's move on to January, because Lara Croft makes a return with Rise of the Tomb Raider. And we also got Thumper, which...
Yeah.
Let's talk about Thumper first, because people talk about latency with Stadia and cloud gaming, and like, play Thumper, and if you notice latency, then you're insane, because any use notice latency in Stadia, like when you're playing, like delays in inputs or anything.
Not input delays, only whenever I get sort of like pixelation or just like frame skips. That's the only noticeable issue that I have, and it's quite infrequent. But latency, like actual input latency, no.
That's what I mean by latency, is your input latency, the connection between you and the game. And rhythm games, by clear definition, would die a death very quickly if you didn't have it seamlessly. And when I played Thumper, that was the moment to me where I realised everyone complaining about latency on Stadia were probably people who'd never played Stadia. Like, if you have a decent internet connection, good home networking as well, because it's not just about the number, how fast it is coming in, it's how it's distributed around your home is important as well. Something I learned a lesson eventually. But
got to get that.
Yeah. But again, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I actually only recently played that. Like, for the first time, not long ago.
Well, yeah, our intention was to play all 3 games as a collective. We played the first one in a room together, and then the world went to shit, and we put it on hold, and the world's still kind of in a shit place, so we never got around to playing it. So, yeah, Rise of the Tomb Raider, I love the whole Tomb Raider series, but yeah, we got 2 months back-to-back of Game 1, Game 2, and then we never got Game 3, but...
It's
always hope.
It's interesting you mentioned how it was one that we planned to play together, because February brought another game that we did plan to play together to do a full series on, which we eventually did, in Guilt, and we also got Metro Exodus.
For me, Guilt's the better game. Metro Exodus is the better visually. Yeah, but I think Guilt's the more round package for me on that one.
I remember I was quite salty because we played Metro on stream as well. I was quite salty. I didn't really like the game. I thought there was a weird juxtaposition at times where sometimes it'd be stunningly beautiful, but then you look at the ground and the texture would be just flat. And it's like,
that's exactly what I remember. I remember us being in the little bit with the boat on the water, and the water looked absolutely fantastic. Like some of the best water physics I'd seen in a video game, with like almost like ray tracing in terms of like the light reflecting off it. But
the quality of some of the graphical elements made the quality of the worse ones look worse. It's like, because of that, just how much you stand out. And for me, it's not a game I was ever that interested in. Too many systems. It's like, learn how to do so much in that game. But if you want to be fully immersed in the game, I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Guilt was a great game, and if you haven't had a chance to play it yet, try it. Like, I seriously cannot recommend that enough.
Watch our Let's Play series.
Yeah, that too. Is it still Stadia's only real exclusive outside of like obviously the ones that were made specifically for Stadia?
Yeah, it's still only on Stadia. Guilt.
Yeah. I think it's one that I think is coming off exclusivity soon, though. Or at least
it's been over a year, so I would have thought it would either be now or never.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to March because we still got over a year.
There's a lot of games, a lot of games.
Yeah, a lot of games.
This is where shit hits the fan.
It's 81 games that we've been released on Pro at this point. March we have SteamWorld Dig 2, SteamWorld Quest, and Grid.
Yeah. This was another weird month, wasn't it? Where we didn't get SteamWorld Dig 1, we got the sequel in Quest, but not the original game, because the original game came out, I think, a few weeks later than 2 and Quest, and it was kind of like, what are they doing with these pro games?
Yeah.
Because at this point, we never really had any consistency because we were only in, like, month 5. And now it was like, okay, we're getting 2 of the same. And yeah, Grid was quite a big title for the time to get. For me, I'd probably say Grid just because of the sheer cost value.
Yeah, I think I actually completed SteamWorld Quest. It was the first SteamWorld game I played, and I really enjoyed that game. But I think Grid is the standout title there. I mean, it's still got a thriving community around Grid at the moment. And it wasn't that long ago that we played Grid on stream, and that was an absolute blast. If you like absolute carnage of wrecking cars. I almost landed a double kickflip in my car.
You did. Interestingly, the one you haven't mentioned on there for either of you, SteamWorld Dig 2, which is the game that I actually played the most of out of the 3 of these, and I really enjoyed that too. But I think I'm going to agree with the collective here and still say Grid, just because of the longevity of it. But again, don't sleep on the SteamWorld franchise, because I know I think I could say for the most of us that went into it thinking don't really know much about these. You see them, they've been out on basically every single platform to date, but actually having the chance to play them, they were good.
Dig 2 is a roguelite, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It also has a ridiculously difficult achievement to complete the game 100% and achieve a gold rating in everything within a really short span of time. There's a real speedrun achievement in that, which I hate, personally.
Moving on, we got next month, one for Tom, Bitlings.
Hey!
We also got Stacks on Stacks on Stacks on Stacks on Stacks on Stacks on Stacks.
It's a month of
the
S's.
Serious Sam Collection and PUBG. Big month, April 2020.
Yeah. It was a huge month. And Serious Sam, obviously, in itself is 3 games.
Yeah.
So this was the first month we actually got more than 3 as well. It was 4, 4 then more,
Technically 6 different games.
I think as much fun as we had with Spitlings, and rest in peace Stacks on Stacks, because let's face it, no one spoke about that game since last April. It feels. And PUBG as well, still claimable to this day.
Oh yeah,
it must be the longest running claimable game on Stadia, which makes sense with it being like the type of game it is. It's like every other battle royale is pretty much free to play. So PUBG then being a chargeable one, I think would nip the player base in the bud quite quickly if that was the case.
If we're looking at the longest running games, PUBG was it's been 14 months available on Pro. Mm-hmm. We had Destiny 2 clocked out at 13 months, but then went free to play.
Yeah.
Other than that, SteamWorld Dig 2 and SteamWorld Quest both hit 13 months.
Mm-hmm. Over a year, that's quite decent run, because that's one thing they've never really clarified with Pro either.
Yeah.
Like the rules around what stays for how long. Like with PlayStation Plus and such, it's you claim it this month or it's gone.
Yeah.
Like that's the hardened rule. Stadia, it's kind of just like, we'll see what the weather report says, and we'll just we might take it down, we might not.
The flow, man.
Yeah. It's so hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
But PUBG for me.
PUBG for me.
PUBG's one of the games that we keep occasionally going back to because it's just a blast, especially when you're playing with like the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We should probably caveat that with that April, like the following month, we hosted the Content Creators Cup.
Wow.
It's based around PUBG as well. That was almost a year ago. Crazy.
we need to talk about Doom. That was fun.
It really was.
Moving on to May 2020, we got SteamWorld Heist. So going strong with SteamWorld here.
Yeah.
Contract signed.
Yeah, the Turing test, which that was quite popular for a hot minute, and Zombie Army 4 Dead War. A bit of a down one for me, this one.
Yeah. I think the Turing test for me was a nice little puzzle game. It was an interesting break from some of the other titles. Very short game as well. I think it only takes about 8 hours to complete, and 100% too. But nice story. You could probably figure out the idea based on what the Turing test is. For me, I think I'm going to have to go with the big hitter there, which is Zombie Army 4. It's just one of those games with the multiplayer that you can just have fun with it.
Yeah, we've done multiple streams on Zombie Army.
Yeah.
For me, Turing test was one of them. It just reminded me of Portal, but then to the point where I was like, I could just be playing Portal.
Yeah.
Which is it's a bit of a harsh criticism because it is a good game, but it's like I'd rather be playing Portal right now. Portal's it was a bit more fun. But
yeah, this for me was the first month where like the value against competition really shone through a little bit with Zombie Army 4. That went free on PlayStation Plus not too long ago, whereas on Stadia we got it over a year ago nearly. So it shows that they're not just smaller indie games. I think this is where we start to get a bit of current titles start to creep into the pro subscription, and obviously we'll get into that in a short while. But yeah, Zombie Army for me all the way.
Looked at June 2020 and there's some stuff like I just remember coming out. I was like, that was June last year.
Yeah. This is where it really picks up in terms of how many we got per month.
So we're gonna have to probably pick up the pace here.
Let's go. Let's crack on.
So Get Pack, Panzer Dragoon Remake, Little Nightmares, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, Super Hot, and Elder Scrolls Online. We need to do a Power Rangers stream. We need to do a Power Rangers stream. I'm going to put that out there.
Tyrannosaurus.
It's morphin' time.
For this one, I understand the size of Elder Scrolls, but I haven't spent enough time with it to comment as you two could. For me, it's probably Little Nightmares, just because I really enjoyed that game and I played it to its entirety, and it's probably outside of Elder Scrolls, probably the second biggest one on there for me. Okay. But if you two can make a case for Elder Scrolls, I'm more than happy to succeed that one.
There's no real rule that says we have to agree on these ultimately. No. Like we can each have our own. I'm gonna jump in and I'm gonna say categorically Elder Scrolls Online best bang for your buck in terms of pro game. Right. Absolutely.
There. Yeah, I'm with you there.
There's so much that you get with it, and the updates that they add to the game, apart from the main expansions, are completely free. If you manage to get in, you don't even have to pay a monthly fee to play the game. It's just there, and you can just enter a persistently online Elder Scrolls game. Simple as that.
I dropped out of Elder Scrolls fairly quickly because it's one of them's like, I don't have the time to play an MMO. I don't have the time to play an MMO. Don't drop out before you get sucked in. It's like, there's too many other games I want to play. I don't. It's why I'm not big in like persistent online games of service type games, because I like to finish a game then move on to the next thing, because there's so many awesome games. It's basically fear of missing out on everything.
MMOs are a trap. You've got to be very careful with them, but see, I can't knock it. Like Elder Scrolls Online, there's just so much to it.
I always remember
that would be my vote there.
I remember my time playing World of Warcraft in my like late teens. It's like, I know how much time this can consume, and I don't have that time. It's when the game becomes a hobby rather than gaming becomes a hobby. But shout out to Get Packed as well. That was a great game. That.
So much fun. And if you want to play Super Hot, go play it in VR.
Yeah, I think we all agree that Super Hot. I haven't played it in VR, but I feel it's a VR game. It just it's lacking something when you're not in VR.
In hindsight as well, Panzer Dragoon Remake, not so hot.
You're excited for that as well.
I was, but I think it was sort of like a nostalgic thing. I think when you actually get back into playing an old game remade, you just sometimes go...
You remember why this game... Well, this is why the franchise was dormant, because it just doesn't work anymore.
Well, this is why it was on the Sega Saturn and hasn't been since the Sega Saturn.
Yeah. So, moving on to June 2020, SteamWorld Dig 1 finally made its pro appearance. Orcs Must Die 3. We've done a couple of streams, and that was one of my most surprising games of like 2020. Orcs Must Die. West of Loathing, which is hilarious. Crater, I know what
Wow.
Chris is waiting. Chris is waiting in anticipation for one. But we've had some good fun, Craig. Tom taught us how to make games.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Yeah.
Go check that out.
And not long ago, we actually did another look back into Create, and it's still thriving.
It's gone on Epic now, hasn't it? So.
It's on Epic as well now, so crossplay too.
The one Chris has been waiting for, Monster Boy in the Chaos Kingdom.
Monster Boy. Yeah, both through pain and joy. This game for me. Is it the best on that? I don't know. They're all so different. That's the great thing with Pro, the variety we've got. Like this was 2 months on the bat. We got over 5 games. We got 6 in June, then 5 in July, and then we get 5 in August, 6 in September. It's like we're being spoilt, and it's like a wealth of variety. And yeah, I wouldn't have probably played Monster Boy otherwise. And go check out our Let's Play series to watch my anguish and enjoyment.
This is kind of the point where I started realizing I'm not going to play every game that comes to Pro, because I was before this point. I'm going to give everything at least an hour, but it's like, they keep increasing the amount of games, and it's like I'm just playing more and more games and not actually playing any real games because I'm just spending an hour with everything.
I haven't played West of Loathing yet. Like
neither have I.
It just fell to the side.
I didn't finish it. I played it for a while, but it's quite fun. It's got
interestingly, it has the highest Metacritic score of those games right there as well. But again, I've got to go. I've got to go where my heart is. Monster Boy. I absolutely loved that game. I just 100%ed it.
West of Loathing's up there with Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of graphics.
Wow. Maybe as if it was Red Dead's like storyboard plans for the
game. Right. Let's move on. Let's keep it going at a quick pace here because we're covering like 80 odd games.
Keep going.
Metro 2033 Redux, which 2033 is not that far away now you think about it.
I forgot we even got this game as Pro.
Yeah, me too.
I don't recall seeing this in my library at all.
I think that sums up this game for us. Like we played was it Exodus?
Exodus, yeah.
And we didn't really like it, so it just went by the wayside. Strange Brigade. We love a bit of Strange Brigade over at Stadia.
Yeah.
Corner, which I did a live stream on.
Is that your first live stream on your own?
Yeah, that was my first solo stream.
I remember that one. I remember that one.
Because for whatever reason, you two couldn't make it, so I
was at a barbecue.
I pivoted, I pivoted quickly into doing Corner, and it's like, and I remember thinking, this is not a game that works well for live stream because it's such a muted game. There's like nothing. There's like there's like no actions. Like I'm just. And I got lost. I'm just wandering around the snowy forest. Like I have no idea where I am, what I'm doing. It's like this is not my greatest stream ever.
Brilliant.
Put it that way.
Love it.
Just Shapes and Beats.
Just Shapes and Beats. Yeah, another rhythm game showing off the latency or lack thereof, we should say.
And Rock of Ages 3,
which is a bad game.
I didn't think it looked like a good game, to be honest.
How it got a third entry in the series, I played Rock of Ages 1 on PS3 when that was free on PlayStation Plus years ago. How it made the third one, I guess, like there's something fun about smashing boulders you control through things, but the general premise of a game, it's just not fun after like 20, 30 minutes. That's why it's on Pro, I guess. And then,
I'd have to agree with that. I played, I think out of the three of us, I probably played the most of Rock of Ages 3, and I just, for a while I did enjoy it, but then it just felt far too repetitive. I
can honestly say I didn't play it. I never had any intention to play it. Sorry to the devs of Rock of Ages 3. I know there's probably a lot of passion went into that game. It just did nothing about it look like a game I want to play. But moving on to September.
It's the mobile game.
Yeah. Moving on to September. September was an absolute banger of a month. We got Super Bomberman R Online, Hitman.
That's on Stadia.
Hello Neighbor, which started the Hello Neighbor series. They're all coming. Yeah. Gunsport, Metro, another Metro game, Last Light Redux.
Yeah.
And Ember.
I don't even recall having Last Light either.
We have got it.
Wow. This kind of, again, goes back to what we said in this week's podcast about like Stadia getting new features. The user interface of Stadia is detrimental to so many titles because I don't know I own these games because I haven't seen them
They're down the bottom of the
In
list.
seven
Are you having
months.
the same issue as me, Chris, where you're looking at this list and thinking, did I actually claim that game?
Yeah,
because
I've
I
claimed
don't
everything.
remember claiming it.
I'm sure I've claimed everything.
Yes, yeah.
But,
I think we have a claim all button now, by the way. We've not mentioned that before, but I think we actually have a claim all button now.
Oh,
on
that was
web.
the new
It's on
UI
web.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
That one needs to be on mobile because that's where I claim my games.
Yeah. I think for me,
Hitman.
from that list, it's got to be Hitman, but I have to say, Ember was a lot of fun
So
to
was
stream.
Bomberman.
So was Bomberman, yeah.
Is Ember out of beta yet? Early access?
Probably not.
No.
Because that was September, so it's going on a while.
Yeah,
but
but
we've been able to
how
play
long-
it for so long, it doesn't
How
even
long
feel
was
like it.
PUBG and Fortnite in early access? It's probably a couple of
Yeah,
years.
true. But they're far more expansive titles.
Yeah.
But-
But moving
Yeah, Hitman
on.
just based on AAA for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hitman is a phenomenal game.
Agreed.
Yeah, I found a battle axe and I killed
Mm.
someone. I'm not good at Hitman.
Oh, October's a good month.
Yeah. You can't put a battle axe in the game and not expect me not to use it. October, yeah, we got Dead by Daylight, Celeste, Human Fall Flat, Lara Croft and Temple of Osiris, Super Hot, Mind Control Delete, and Jotun.
Yeah. That's a list of
That's a list,
variety and the quality right there as well. Dead by Daylight was a festival with crowd choice, right, as well.
It was.
Yes.
So that was a big step for Stadia and a decent title, which is flourishing still. Resident Evil DLC just dropped.
Yeah.
I'm sure they just signed up for some new content for another seasonal thing. Still thriving.
Human
And,
Fall
yeah.
Flat is annoying as the physics can be at times. Really fun. But for me,
I think this is where
stand out is Celeste.
I think this is where I officially started buying games that then went pro because I definitely bought Jotun at this point.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah,
curse
I'm
begins.
with you. I'm with you, Celeste. Definitely Celeste. It's just such a critically acclaimed game.
It's on my list, but I'm not good at 2D platformers, and it's notoriously difficult, so I'm too intimidated to play it.
Stream it.
If I
There's-
stream
there's-
it, I'll
there's-
end up like you with Monster Boy, where the game just doesn't end.
There's no game in October 2020 that I haven't enjoyed. I've enjoyed every single one of those titles.
Yeah, I don't
Single
think I
one.
played Mind Control Delete.
Okay.
But
Sequel to the original Super Hot, obviously. It's great. It's got a lot more in terms of what the enemies can do, but obviously the mechanics are still essentially the same.
I think I remember around this time talking to you, Chris, like you have Super Hot on PlayStation VR. I was like, I kind of just want to play in VR and come around yours, but obviously we couldn't. So
that was the reason I haven't touched it. We should point out as well, Dead by Daylight, not only crowd choice, but the fest game timed with a relevant holiday, like Halloween month.
Yes,
that was a great pairing to get, because then the build up towards Halloween was just perfect. Yeah, great decision there.
I still have nightmares with Tom hunting us cackling like a maniac.
Maniacal laugh. Yeah.
Okay, moving on to November. So we're getting close to recent stuff here now. We've got Sniper Elite 4. I thought that was actually earlier, But Risk of Rain 2, The Garden Between, Hello Neighbor Hide and Seek. So you can tell you, Hello Neighbor's infecting the platform. Republic and Sundered Eldritch Edition.
Yeah. Again, I bought 2 of those games before they went pro.
Sniper Elite for me.
Okay.
I'm with you.
I had fun in Risk of Rain, but again, I feel like a lot of that was via your guidance, Tom, through our Let's Play.
No, I'm actually not even leaning towards Risk of Rain, which I do think Risk of Rain is a great game, but just because I really like those Metroidvania type games, I really enjoyed Sundered Eldritch Edition. But I'm gonna give it to Sniper Elite 4.
Helen,
Helen,
I'm going to give a bit of a shout out to Helen Neighbor Hide and Seek here, which I think there's a good game there. But the lobby system was terrible. We tried to play before and we just struggled to get games. And it's one of them, it's a case of Stadia where with multiplayer games, it's almost a vicious cycle of Stadia. It's like multiplayer games don't work well on Stadia because there isn't enough user base. But because
just to clarify, because we keep making this mistake, sorry to cut you off there, Richie. Hide and Seek was the prequel game. Secret Neighbor is the multiplayer game.
Oh, all right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easy mistake to make when the name is Hide and Seek.
Well, just wait till next month, Richie, to make your point.
I mean, my point basically is it's this vicious cycle. It's like multiplayer games don't work because there's no one on it because they're not because there's that perception
Especially
of no
when
one
there is
playing
no
multiplayer
multiplayer.
games on Stadia. No one tries to play games on Stadia. It's like
Yes.
it's just one of them things. It will. I think there's two ways to solve the problem: crossplay and more users.
Right.
Give everyone Premier Editions.
They keep doing that.
Yeah. And then what a Christmas, Richie.
Yeah.
What a Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, after we saved it with Cthulhu, our good friend Cthulhu, and the Santa of Many Pixels, what a stream that was. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch our Cthulhu stream. It was fantastic. We got Into the Breach, Hitman 2, Kine, Monster Jam Steel Series, Everspace, Secret Neighbor, Outcasters, Submerged Hidden Depths, and of course Cthulhu Saves Christmas.
Wow.
Merry Christmas, everyone. He's all the games.
9 games.
9 games.
The first one I want to talk about is Monster Jam Steel Titans, because we were planning to do a live stream of this until we found out it wasn't multiplayer. Which is just madness. Like,
it's crazy.
And we finally got Kine, which was a release. Yeah. It was a game at release, which we consistently throughout the podcast have always predicted as being coming to Pro as an indie title. And it took until December 2020. So a solid 13 months after release
for
the game to finally go Pro. No, still haven't played
Did you play it?
No.
Yeah, me either. Sorry, Kine.
No.
We waited 13 months for a go Pro, and then we ignored you anyway.
There's a good reason, probably, that I didn't want to go Pro. The developer was probably thinking, no, this doesn't work for me. I'll hold off.
Yeah.
Hitman 2, right?
It is, but again, shout out to Outcasters for being developed exclusively for Stadia. But yeah, Hitman 2.
Yeah, Outcasters, loads of fun, but for me, the one thing that's still kind of the bugbear is the lack of continued support.
Yeah.
No, like, it's a great game. We know that Twitter, the social team are wonderful and loads of fun to have in the community. The downside is customization, nothing new since launch. New game modes and maps, nothing new since launch. Season content, nothing like that. No, I think the splash damage had done it out pretty much now.
It sort of missed the hype of like games like Fall Guys, which had like consistent updates. It just sort of missed.
I should have saved my complaint about multiplayer games and Stadia for Outcasters, because I think that's one of the problems with Outcasters. It's just not enough people on the platform, so multiplayer games are kind of hamstrung by it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can't do crossplay because it's exclusive to Stadia.
Yeah.
But it's, again, super fun game, but I think if you look at on continued support and stuff, the fact that all the Hitman games are part of this shared Assassin's universe, it gives them an extra boost, and obviously the quality is much, much higher and longevity of the gameplay. So Hitman 2 for me. And
the dawn of a new year. Optimism was abound with like getting past COVID. I don't know why I do this like epic intro to January, but we got F1 2020. We should play that. Hotline Miami, Figment, Aris in the Secret of the Seasons, and El Hijo.
How many of them did you buy, Tom?
Actually, I didn't buy any of them. I think I was, but I did toy, and I remember saying it on the podcast. I did toy with buying Ari and the Secret of Seasons, but I stopped because of negative reviews.
Yeah, I was with you. Like, I was tempted to buy it. I think I was playing something else at the time. I think it might have been Cyberpunk at the time. I think Ari was my next planned game. I held off because of the negative reviews from buying it. I did buy Hotline Miami before this came out. That was part of our anniversary stream.
Correct.
But I did jump into Ari when I got my hands on it, and the camera made me feel sick. It was just terrible. And the game just felt a bit flat. I played for like 2 hours and was like, I'm moving on. There's a good game in there, but it just I think it needs work.
Yeah. We should point out as well, Formula 1 2020, first sports game, like big, like annualized franchise sports game to come to Stadia. And I think in terms of value, January, the new one's not even out yet. It's like Formula 1 2021. We don't know if it's even coming to Stadia. We should probably point that out as well, which is a whole other conversation. But to give us a sports game for free on Pro halfway through its life cycle, essentially, I think can't be understated. Although we're not big Formula 1 fans ourselves, I appreciate
a big racing community
it coming across. And arguably, this is the first EA Sports game. Now they own Codemasters.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
in a
it
backwards
is
way.
EA now. It wasn't EA then.
Oh yeah, at the
Yeah.
time no. But yeah, good for that one.
Oh,
And it's arguably the most expensive out of the titles as well.
And
yeah.
have you just played Figment El Hijo?
No,
Nope.
I've not played either of them.
They get added to the pro pile for me, unfortunately.
What you might find is with like December going forward is this is when we got the Ubisoft stuff. Ubisoft just took over the platform. Everything we got Valhalla, we got things like
Yeah.
Watch Dogs and more, Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, we got all three of them. Were both in November. Cyberpunk came out, so he's 4 huge games to play. So sorry, indie games, you kind of got pushed aside a bit.
Sorry,
so I forgot F1 2020 was a pro game.
Yeah.
Again, I think there's a stream in there because we've streamed Grid and that was hilarious. So I imagine we'll get some fun out of F1 2020. Moving on to February, Jenny Savage Planet, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, Enter the Gungeon, and Little Nightmares 2.
Yeah, obviously loads of controversy in this one. The fact that Jenny the Savage Planet came out like the day after they announced the studio was being closed.
Yeah.
That came with its whole thing. And then they had the problem where the game was buggy, like not because the characters in it are obviously bugs and stuff and alien creatures, but
they couldn't get through the menu system.
Yeah, it was broken and there was no one there to fix it. And then they did resolve it in the end, but that kind of dampened the whole launch of that title. Plus, the creative developer at Jenny Savage Planet was the guy who caused loads of problems for Stadia several months prior with his tweets and saying he was a director at Stadia and his Twitter bio, and he wasn't. But for me, the biggest win for this one is Little Nightmares 2, a brand new game, full price. We got free day and date on Pro, which I think is the best thing Pro's probably ever done. Which is a shame it didn't seem to get. We did. We streamed the whole game for 6.5 hours to completion. But great title, amazing. I would have bought it regardless of it being on Pro, but that was the first thing I saw drop on Pro, and I was genuinely excited because no one else had played it. It was brand new.
Amazing.
Yeah. And we streamed the whole. You streamed the whole of Little Nightmares 1 as well.
I did, yeah. 2 full.
I think
lots of
Jenny Savage Planet may just be maybe the only title that we haven't done content around in this. Did we do a first look?
No, I had a thumbnail ready for it, and then I think because of the issues it was having...
I remember seeing the thumbnail, that's why.
Yeah. I think I opted for Little Nightmares 2 instead.
Yeah, we do have an Enter the Gungeon first look. Check that out. I get lost in it.
We do a lot of first looks on pro games. It's almost like we get them free every month. So.
Yeah, there's almost a reason for that.
But yeah, Little Nightmares 2 for me.
Yeah,
Jenny the Savage Planet is so fun. But you can underestimate a brand new game. Everyone else was paying £30 for it on other platforms. We got it for free.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, moving on to March, we got Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle, Reigns, Avicii and Vector, Pixel Junk Raiders.
Yeah, another day and date brand new title.
Absolutely. Pac-Man Mega Tunnel Battle and Reigns. I bought both of those.
I never bought Pac-Man actually.
Yeah, I had it on pre-order. So when we had the original demos, I actually pre-ordered that, and I sort of must admit I forgot that I'd pre-ordered it. So
I'm going to be honest with you. It's one of them games where I think we're going to play this for content at some point.
Yes.
I'll buy it at that moment, and then we got on Pro. I was like before we did content and again, so I was like, I win.
I win.
I have played every single one of those games for this month here. I've played all of them. Avicii and Vector is, again, it's a rhythm game. It is fun. The harder difficulties are insanely difficult. For me, strangely, I've said this before, but I really just like Reigns. I just really think, even though it was only like £1.79 on sale, it's just a lot of fun, and it's just really easy to access, and I actually prefer it over any of those other games in that month right there.
Ooh, controversial. I'd say Pac-Man, just because we've said before Stadia needs a mascot, and at the moment there's no sign of Sonic or Crash, so I'll take Pac-Man. I'll pick a yellow dot as a mascot for
I think Pac-Man is too firmly in the category of video game mascot. Full stop, not platform specific, unfortunately.
Yeah. But Pixel Junk didn't really vibe with me that much. Avicii game, I forgot how many amazing hit songs Avicii has until you hear them. And you're like, oh, I've heard of this before. So wake me up. I get it. But rhythm games, you kind of fall off quite quickly on it. You have fun, but they don't hang around. Whereas I think Pac-Man is that's the type of game. If it stays in my Stadia library, like my visual space, I'll go back to it for like a 5-10 minute game.
Not to reiterate too much into old, not even that old content. This is why I want a folder system. All the games that we'd likely to jump back into on stream, then these sort of multiplayer party games, I just want them all in a folder.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about good months for Pro, April brought us Piku Niku. And SpongeBob. After long speculation about SpongeBob coming to the platform, we got it
for Bikini Bottom.
And Tom, you played it.
Yeah. We kept asking where it was, and it finally arrived. I'm surprised we got SpongeBob. We haven't had Destroy All Humans on Pro yet, so I'm wondering whether that's going to be a THQ Nordic drop in the future. Soon. I'd expect possibly soon. I mean, this is. I have to say, it's trickier than it seems, because instinctively I'd go for Resident Evil 7, because what a title to get on Pro.
But you're torn between E's.
But I'm torn between E's, and that's just because of the JRPG fan. But I have to give it to Resident Evil 7, because it is by far, out of any of the games that we've had on Pro,
Resident Evil 7 feels more like a modern game. There's parts of East that reminded me of Final Fantasy X. It's very much graphically like the remaster of Final Fantasy X. I wouldn't let that put you off if you're interested in JRPGs. I think, in fact, I'm saying all this, but I've done, there's a first look where I say all this. Go watch that video.
For me, the Resident Evil 7, it not only is it a big game, but I think the marketing beat this hit was perfectly timed. So we've got to remember, Pro is a great way of getting games in people's hands who otherwise wouldn't have purchased them. We not only got, obviously, the announcement it was free of the month of April, but then also May was going to have Resident Evil Village, which it was huge. That's arguably the biggest game coming to Stadia this year. Then with the Premier Edition promotion, and you can play the prior game now this month on Pro with all the DLC, because it's the Gold Edition we got. I think that's a phenomenal marketing beat, and it absolutely nailed it.
They absolutely nailed Resident Evil coming to the platform.
Yeah. Big time.
And now we're into May. Now. We got Trine 4, Hotline Miami 2, Floor Kids, and something else, which we don't know what it is
soon to be announced.
At the time of recording, we don't know what it is.
Yeah, my money's on the game. Funnily enough, when this goes live on free feed, it's probably already public knowledge. So my money...
We got Star Wars, everyone!
Whatever the mystery game is, that's the winner. Otherwise,
it's insert name here.
Because let's face it, if it was worse than Floor Kids, Hotline Miami, Trine, they wouldn't be holding it back an extra week.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the podcast, so I'm not going to go too much into it, because but hopefully by the time this show comes out for everyone other than our members and patrons, you will know what that game is.
And you'll either be thrilled or disappointed.
Yeah,
one of the two.
There's only the two camps. You're either going to be overwhelmed or underwhelmed. There is no whelmed.
Yeah, whelmed. No one's ever just whelmed. Anyway, right, that's all 81 of our non-pro games so far.
Damn.
Right, let's quickly agree on the top 5.
How can
Destiny
we
2.
Yeah,
I'm just going to run down them. Right, for me, anyway. Destiny 2. It's harder. PUBG.
I'm going to let us put the Tomb Raider stuff into a package. We can collect titles. Otherwise, we might just go Tomb Raider.
Yeah. Destiny 2, PUBG then. Little Nightmares 2. Resident Evil 7. Yeah, bundle them together. Resident Evil and Hitman 2. I think they're mine.
So no Monster Boy?
No, because again, I'm not going just for me. I'm thinking of the wider Stadia, everything like marketing, promotions, free games, like attention on the platform, attention on Pro. I think all the others lend a bit more to it.
100% agree with Resident Evil 7, Destiny 2. I would argue PUBG.
Yeah, PUBG is one of the ones I've got a question mark against. Because by the time PUBG came to Stadia, its relevancy had already gone.
Yeah,
Apex was already
dated.
out. Warzone was already out. Fortnite had took over the world. PUBG had fallen by the wayside. It's a good game, and it had such a landmark on the gaming industry. But Yeah, I would drop.
The reason I said PUBG is just because there's nothing like that on the platform.
Yeah.
And like I said, like the others are all bigger, but we can't play them.
No, I definitely see an argument there, an argument for it there. I definitely agree with the Hitman franchise as well. If we're collectively, because it's all the Hitman World of Assassination, because getting Hitman 3 on the platform was obviously the next logical step for it.
Can we? I think we're probably in agreement with 4 of these 5. So with Destiny, Tomb Raider, Hitman, and Resident Evil 7.
Yeah,
I think that we all agree they're locks. So we're just finding that one last one.
My vote would be for Grid, actually, or one of the racing games. And I'm leaning towards Grid because I haven't experienced Formula 1 2020, so I can't really speak for that. And that's just because what it's brought for the Stadia community in terms of it's built that racing community within the whole Stadia ecosystem as it is. Would I personally put it in my top 5? No, I'd probably actually swap it out and put something like Ys 8 probably, or even the Tomb Raider series instead. But
the Tomb Raider was one of the locks, so you don't need to worry about Tomb Raider.
That was in there.
Yeah,
I guess the Ys games kind of are about to usher in a wave of JRPG games, because with that title, we also got the announcement of like 4 or 5 other entries from that genre.
Yeah,
it was more of a landmark game, I'd say.
Yeah, it was around, what was it? It was like end of March, start of April. We got like Ys, we got Trials of Cold Steel, we got Dragon Quest.
Yeah,
it was the month of JRPGs.
It was. Yeah. It was.
So I think that was landmark for the platform to get those things.
Yeah.
I'd make a case for Outcasters just because I think the community all came together over that one game. So I think, because if it wasn't pro, imagine how different it would have been if it was like 20 quid, £25. I don't think half the amount of people would have bought it or played it.
Shout out to the marketing team who run their Twitter accounts.
But
I'm actually, do you know what? Now I'm looking at the list again. I'm still thinking Celeste as well.
I've been thinking Celeste.
I mean, the first game of the year, right? We've got pro.
It's also arguably the highest Metacritic rated game out of all of the pro games that we've received.
Yeah.
I'll give it a Celeste.
Should we go with Celeste?
Yeah.
I'm happy with Celeste.
I can't remember the rest of the list because
the thing is, I think
last quick shout out for Strange Brigade, but
shout out to ESO as well.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I think in terms of, I think that gives it a good coverage there for an indie title as well within the top 5.
Yeah. I was planning on doing our worst games, but I think most of the games I think that we would talk about the worst of, we just didn't play. And also I want to wrap up the show, so we'll skip that.
Yeah.
I did announce at the start, but we've decided not to. So that's all, unless you've got anything else.
So what was the rundown? It was the final 5, Richie?
So the final 5, we had Destiny, we had the Tomb Raider series, the Hitman series, Celeste, and Resident Evil.
Should we let the audience decide? Out of those 5, let us know in the chat what your top...
Or even if you don't agree with us, let us know what you think was the best valued pro game that you've received so far, in terms of what it's brought to the community and to yourself.
Different for everybody.
Yeah, well, that's all we have time for you. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, you can get the show a whole 5 days early by being a member from as little as 99p. Check out other shows, such as the podcast, comes out on a Monday. Follow us on Twitter, subscribe to the video, do all the things, you know the thing. Told you what to do earlier. Just do them. Go back to the start of this video if you forgot and just watch it again. And just do the things I tell you to do. I've been Richie.
I've been Tom.
I've been Chris.
Thank you very much for watching. Quest completed.